Hi, welcome to the channel. So I know a lot of you guys probably didn't get into the network test, but you still want to know more about Blue Protocol's classes, or like myself, you just enjoy getting a full understanding of how each of these classes work in video format. Either way, you're in the right place, as I did all the research so that you don't have to. So, the Fallbreaker, probably one of the most powerful classes in the game, armed with nothing but a bowling ball.
Nice throw!
Jokes aside, the Fallbreaker is actually a very tanky melee DPS, equipped with an oversized hammer cannon thing that can shoot balls at enemies. The class comes with a lot of crowd control capabilities, allowing it to slow enemies and pull them. On top of that, the class has quite a high HP stat, and despite its slower attacks, the class gains super armor, allowing you to dive bomb crowds of enemies with very little worry. So now for the important part, the skills. The first skill we're going to be looking at is our left click skill, main attack. Wait, is it actually called main attack? Just read the script, man. So the base version of this attack is a 2-hit combo, however pressing left or right will cause you to use a sidekick attack instead. The first upgrade for this skill will allow your second hit of the 2-hit combo to deal earth elemental damage as long as you are pressing the forward key, and your second upgrade for this ability will allow the second hit of your 2-hit combo to inflict a damage reduction effect on enemies. This one seems like it will come in handy for group play, as you can keep your party alive by weakening the amount of damage enemies do to you for just a little bit of time. Now, let's take a look at our right click skill, Cartridge Shot. Cartridge Shot shoots a ball at enemies and pulls them towards it, consuming 1 round of your ammo. The first upgrade for Cartridge Shot increases the damage of the skill, and the second upgrade for Cartridge Shot increases the damage and increases the range of the pull effect. Again, a lot of incredible crowd control coming into play here, allowing you to bring enemies to you or dive into them. Speaking of which, now it's time to dive into our active skills. See what I did there? Our first active skill is Hit in the Fall. Now, this skill allows the Fallbreaker to launch into the air, coming down and falling on top of his enemies. This attack consumes 3 ammo and has a 20-second cooldown. The first upgrade for this attack will increase the damage and the skill's range. The second upgrade will increase the stun on enemies. Now this time with active skills, you have an option between 2 different optional effects. So this time we get to decide whether we want an additional damage increase or increased damage against stunned enemies. Our next skill is Hammer Throwing. The base version of this skill is pressing and holding the skill button to spend stamina and begin spinning. On top of consuming stamina, this will also consume 2 ammo. The first upgrade for this skill is the longer we spin, our damage and attack range is increased. The second upgrade for this skill increases our damage and attack range even further. We can decide if we want to go with a reduction on stamina and an increase to our attack range, or an increase to our movement speed while spinning. Jet Strike has a 15-second cooldown. We leap forward with a shot from our cannon, consuming 1 ammo and giving us super armor in return. The first upgrade for this skill increases the amount of stun the skill does. The second upgrade increases how far we jump, and we can then decide whether we want to increase our damage against fallen enemies or increase our stun even further. Now this is where things start to get interesting with the Fallbreaker. Stone Body. This skill has a 60-second cooldown and grants a damage reduction buff and increase to our super armor. So this effect will end if the buff timer goes down, or if you take a certain amount of damage. So our first upgrade will increase the duration of the buff, and our second upgrade will increase how much damage can be taken before the buff goes down. We can then decide whether we want to increase the damage limit further or get a cooldown reduction. This skill will be huge for tanks, as this is going to protect you from a lot of damage with the super armor. Our next skill, Anchor, this has a 20-second cooldown. The base version fires a projectile on the first press of the skill. The second press of the skill will cause our Fallbreaker to be pulled over to the enemy and inflict a circular blow, consuming 2 ammo in the process. The first upgrade will be an increase to the damage dealt by the skill, and the second upgrade will be an increase to the range of the shot. We can then decide whether we want to increase the attack range and damage dealt by the circular attacks, or reduce our ammo consumption here. Now this next skill just sounds incredible. Stormwall. This skill has a 20-second cooldown, and the base version will create 2 slow-moving earth vortexes with a stun effect, consuming 1 ammo in return. Our first upgrade here will double the number of vortexes to 4, and our second upgrade will grant us an additional stun. We can then decide to increase the duration of the whirlwinds or reduce the stun effect for a damage increase instead. Grand Strike. This skill has a 20-second cooldown. The base version sees our Fullbreaker jump into the air and deliver a punch that lifts the ground, consuming 2 ammo in return. The first upgrade for this skill is an increase to our damage while also adding a stun and slow effect to enemies once we hit the ground. The second upgrade for this skill is an increase to our stun. We can decide if we want to increase our range or increase how much the target is affected by the elemental damage. Now, like I said, the Fullbreaker has its own self-sustain, and this comes in the form of healing cartridge. The base version of this skill loads a special ammo cartridge into your mag that is valid for a certain amount of time, and when you run out of ammo, your HP is restored. And it gets even better because if you reload when completely out of ammo using this special mag, this will overflow your magazine. The first upgrade is a rollback reduction, and the second upgrade is an increase in the amount of HP we recover. We can then decide whether we want to increase the amount of ammo we can charge or gain a certain amount of health just for activating the skill. This skill is going to be great for your survivability as a Fullbreaker, as you can just heal yourself if you're taking too much damage. The next skill is Sniper Shot. The base version fires a projectile with the earth element, and while you're holding down the skill button, you'll be able to aim this skill. The skill consumes a total of 5 ammo, so it's quite expensive. The first upgrade will make this skill chargeable, increasing the amount of damage the longer you charge it. The next upgrade will increase how long the skill can be charged, leading to even more damage. We can then decide if we want a reduction to our charging time or an increase to our ammo consumption in exchange for even more damage. Dust Vortex is the next skill on the list. We press and hold our skill button here to perform a spin attack with dust. When an enemy hits us, the closest enemy is pulled in towards us, reducing their movement speed while consuming 3 of our ammo. The first upgrade is an increase to the skill's damage and range while spinning. And for our second upgrade, when we attack with our spin, the longer we hold it, the more the level and the range will increase. We then have the option to decide whether we want a decrease to stamina consumption here, an increase to our movement speed, or we want an increase to damage and enemy aggro. Gravity Drive has a 20-second cooldown. The base skill allows us to fire a shot that stuns the enemy and pulls them towards us, and an additional attack will create a stunning blow to the enemy, and this attack will consume 3 ammo. Our first upgrade will allow us to increase the damage from impact attacks, and the second upgrade will be an increase to the range of the shot. We can decide if we want the enemy to take damage when the projectile hits, or apply a damage reduction to that enemy. I think it's a great way to apply damage reduction from far away before diving into the fight, so the second option would probably be my choice here. And finally, we land on our final active skill. I said final twice. Overload, which has a 60-second cooldown. This loads special ammo that deals extra damage if used in your attacks. If you load these cartridges on an empty magazine, they will overflow into the magazine. The special ammo is also on the timer here, so do pay attention as they can disappear if they're not used. Our first upgrade increases the duration of the effect, and our next upgrade increases the damage dealt when using the ammo. We can decide whether we want the effect's duration increased and the cooldown reduced, or if we want the duration reduced and the damage increased. Now for the final skill, the ultimate skill, Grandbuster. This skill has a 190-second cooldown, which is basically about 3 minutes. The Fullbreaker smashes the ground beneath them, which causes it to rise and deal damage over time. The enemy that is hit by the initial attack is knocked down. So the Fullbreaker has a lot of skills that allows them to be in control of their enemies, whether it's knocking them down, slowing, stunning, or pulling them. The Fullbreaker will always be able to affect its enemies in some way. On top of this, it can put out a lot of damage on its own while staying alive with its super armor and self-healing. So this might be one of the most well-rounded classes in the game, and it's hard for me to even box it in. This is definitely a class I look forward to playing when I get my hands on Blue Protocol. If you've learned anything valuable from this video, I would appreciate a subscribe. Now, I just want to address this very quick. I am a film student and I was shooting a film, so that is why I have been gone for 3 weeks. And yeah, but I am back and I've finished my film, and honestly, it's looking quite decent. But yeah, that aside, I'm here to cover Blue Protocol, and I know I've missed quite a lot. This 3 weeks has felt like a year because we've had so much more information and stuff come out that I will be covering throughout this week. Don't worry, there's more videos coming. Yeah, I'm super excited to be back. I can't wait. We're on the final push to 1,000 subs and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are looking forward to it too, because this has been a really fun few months here on YouTube and you guys have really made this year fun. So again, thank you guys for your patience, and remember guys to get 8 hours sleep and drink a lot of water this time. And see ya.